And when you think of big oil-producing states, probably Texas, Alaska, and North Dakota come to mind. But one of the nation's top oil producers is also New Mexico, which has relied on oil and natural gas for as much of a third of the state's revenues. And that's not so easy when the price of oil has fallen so sharply. Scott Cohn reports tonight on New Mexico's state of pain and what it is trying to do to transform itself.
It's a weekday in Hobbs, New Mexico, and it is painfully quiet. At the Martin Boot Company store on Broadway, there's a trickle of customers, but nothing like a couple years ago when oil workers and their families were flush with cash.
The worst thing during the peak of the economy is that they didn't have the time to spend it.
And now?
And now they've got the time. They may not necessarily have the money.
Located just over the Texas border in southeast New Mexico, Hobbs, population a little over 45,000, is a classic oil town. Mayor Sam Cobb says the boom was something to behold.
You couldn't get a hotel room, and if you could get one, they'd be $250 a night. People were, much like you've heard in North Dakota and the Eagle Ford areas, people were living in their cars.
Now, these hotels, newly built, are discounting rooms. Not far away, a fleet of oil trucks and equipment that would have been hard at work a couple years ago sits idle. It's easy to see why. At this oil field just outside of town, manager Mike Hannigan says they've quit drilling new wells for now because the prices are so low.
You don't want to give your oil away at this rate, so we laid our rig down about a month ago.
Unemployment in the county, as low as 3.5% in 2014, has more than doubled, and the jobs that remain are not what the oil workers were used to.
Normally, where a truck driver has been making $100,000, now they're down making $40,000.
Taking a huge bite out of tax revenues here in Hobbs.
And God bless New Mexico.
And in Santa Fe, where the governor and legislators had to cut spending and dip into reserves to balance the state budget.
But New Mexico has seen oil busts before. After all, they've been producing oil here since the 1920s. So officials like to think they were ready for this one.
Here in Hobbs, they say they socked money away during the boom. So now, with construction more affordable, they're spending millions on projects like a new wellness center. The state is using the downturn as a push to diversify an economy that's historically relied on oil and the federal government.
Any state, any political jurisdiction can't put all of its eggs in one or two baskets, like New Mexico has done for the last several decades.
But out in the oil fields, they say, don't count them out.
I think we're going to see $60 this year, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see $70 next year.
That's double the price now. Here in New Mexico, they know booms can go bust, but they also know they can boom again. Scott Cohn, Nightly Business Report, Hobbs, New Mexico.